Okay, so here is a sine wave coming from my laptop, going through the diode. And as you can see, when I turn it up, the wave from the bottom keeps going negative, like further negative, but on the top it stops at about, since my measurements are at 0.1 times 5, it stops at about 0.5. And that makes sense with the circuit we made with the diode, because here I'm using a 1K resistor here from the diode. And so if I'm using a 1K resistor, only 0.68 volts should be able to get through the positive side of the sine wave. And so 0.5 is a little less, but pretty much the same. And also, if I turn this back down, it sort of stays down, and then, like, as you can see, it's kind of slowly coming back up. But anyways, this makes sense that 0.5 or around 0.5 would be the cutoff, because when you use a 1K resistor with a diode, only about 0.68 volts should be getting through. Okay, so I've got my double diode circuit here, both going in opposite directions. I've got a nice wobbly sine wave coming from my laptop. And if I turn up the volume on the laptop, as you can see, around 0.5 volts, maybe a little over 0.5, we get clipping in both directions, or both positive and negative clipping. And it looks like a square wave. And this value, a little over 0.5, makes sense because I'm using a 1K resistor. Or actually, am I still using a 1K resistor? No, it looks like I'm using a 10K now, but 0.5 makes even more sense if I'm using a 10K, because that's the value that I measured with the oscilloscope, with the 0.58 volts being able to get through with a 10K resistor. So that makes sense. And this is essentially just like what distortion is just clipping the sine wave at the top, or just like at a certain frequency. And you could get like natural distortion if you literally turn the volume like as high as it could go, and then like it clipped at the top because the sine wave couldn't go past that. But here we're just sort of kind of unnaturally clipping it early so that we can get that distortion effect. I've installed the potentiometer here, and I've got one of the wires going to the double diode setup, which is the distortion, and then another wire just going clean to the output and oscilloscope from the tone generator. So here we've got the clean wire, and then as I turn the pot, you can see that the frequencies at the top get snipped off, and we get a square wave, or at the top and bottom, and we get a square wave. And once again, this is like what distortion is clipping some of the frequencies at the top based on the voltage of the diode. Yeah, and so you can see like we actually, like, it decreases the gain a lot, but yeah, there you go. So I've installed a switch here, and here we have this pot. So right now we're on the distortion side, the pot is all the way down, and if I turn it all the way up, we'll get the normal sine wave. So I'll turn it all the way back down again, and then I'll flip the switch, and we have a normal sine wave, even though it was turned all the way down. And as you can see, the pot doesn't work because the switch is going to the clean signal now. And then we switch back, and now the pot works. So yeah.